Hello there, in this video I'm going to show you what are shape keys and how to control them using bones. So first of all, we need to know what are shape keys. Basically, shape keys are also known in some other softwares as morph targets. They are a way that you can use to deform your mesh using a slider. So to do that is fairly simple. You just need to go here, so select the mesh that you want to deform. Go here to the data properties. So we click here on this green triangle, and then we are going to have this tab here called Shape Keys. First, we are going to click this plus button, and it's going to create this basis shape key here. This is going to be the default shape of our character, so we should not change it. And this is the one that is the default, let's say. And then we click here again, and we create another shape key. And this one is the one that we can actually manipulate. And here I'm going to leave it at this name just so I can show you what it does. And for that, we are going to, let's press here, tab, and I'm going to scoped mode. So here in scoped mode, I'm going to press G to move to the grab brush. You can also press shift space, and then there's going to open this guy here, but we can use the shortcuts. So pressing G, we go to the grab brush, and then we can literally move things around. So F, we can scale it up and down. So I'm trying to move, and it doesn't do anything. Well, that's basically because we can't see it, because our key here, so this key one, our shape key, is set to 0. If we move it to 1, now we should be able to come here and grab it out, just like this. And if I change this guy here back to 0, we can see that it goes back to the original position. So that's basically what a shape key does. So we can store some kind of deformation here, and when we slide this guy here, we can go to the deformed mesh or back to the default one, and we can add multiple shape keys here. So in this video, we are going to use shape keys to create a blink for our character. So for that, first of all, I'm going to delete this one because I don't want it to be like this. And so I'm going to click here, and then I'm going to add another one, and I'm going to change the name of this guy here to blink. Okay, so if you have another kind of character, you can use the scoped mode to do the blink. So just remember to toggle the mirror here. So when you move one side, you're also going to move the other side. So remember also to bring it all the way to 1, and then you can move it just like that. But here, since our model is fairly simple, we can do it in edit mode. So what we are going to do then is jump into edit mode. So I'm going to press tab, go to edit mode, and then I'm going to select the parts that I want to move. So this is basically going to be here, the lens part. So I'm going to press 3 to go into face selection mode. I'm going to select these faces here, and also going to select these faces here. Oops. So Shift, Alt, and click. Oops. Shift, Alt, and so select this one. Shift, Alt, and click. And there we go. So Shift, select this one. Shift, Alt, and click here, and I select the loop. Nice. So now that I have it selected, I have to be sure that I am in the blink one here. I'm not on the basis. So I want to modify the blink here. Then I need to be with it selected, active. And then the only thing I'm going to need to do here is press S, Z to scale on the Z, and then 0. So I have the eyes completely closed. So when I go back to object mode, we can see that the eyes are black. And if I dial this guy here back to 0, the eye is open. So when I go to 1, it closes. And then we already have a blink going on here. But still, I want it to be controlled separately. I don't want both eyes to be moving together like this. I want to control it individually. So for that, what we are going to do is I'm going to select here the body again, press tab, go to edit mode, and then I'm going to create some vertex groups here to act as masks. So come along with me. So I'm going to press Alt A to deselect everything. I'm going to bases here because I'm not actually going to deform anything. It's just so I can select the things here properly. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to press L here on this eye. And this one is the, let's see, oops, let me press 1 so we don't respect the seams boundary. I'm going to select all of it. Okay, nice. And now that I have this left eye selected, I'm going to create a new group here. So here in this Vertex Groups tab, I'm going to click on the plus button and then change the name of this guy here to left underscore eye. Enter. And I'm going to make sure the weight is 1 and I'm going to press assign. Okay. Now I'm going to press Alt A to deselect and I'm going to do another group, but this time for the right eye. So I'm going to press L to select the linked mesh and then I'm going to press here this plus button, change the name to right underscore eye, and then going to press this assign button. Nice. Now that we have it, we can use these groups that we've created as masks for our shape keys. So let's go to object mode. And here in object mode, I'm going to click this blink. And first I want to make the blink left, let's say. So for that, I'm going to go here in this vertex group property. I'm going to click and then I'm going to type left. And we have here the left eye. Click on it. And then now when I dial this guy, we can see that only the left eye is going to move. And this is really interesting because now we can use this key here to create another key, but this time only with the deformation on the left side. So I'm going to click this time in this down arrow here. So I'm going to press it and I'm going to check this one, new shape from mix. So when I click it, we are going to have a new key, but this time, let me bring this blink all back to 0. This time when I dial this key to, we can see that it works, but now just for the left eye. And this, we can change the name then to be left. Let's do like this, left underscore blink. Nice. And we are going to do the same thing again, but this time for the right eye. So let's change this guy here. Instead of left, we are going to type right. And we are going to select here, right eye. Let's dial so we see, yeah, this time it's just the right eye that's moving. Then the only thing we need to do is repeat what we did before. So I'm going to press here in this down arrow, new shape from mix, and we have our new key. So I'm going to get this guy here back to 0, and this one we are going to dial up so we can see that it actually works. Nice. And so now that we see it working, we can change the name to right blink, just like that. And then we don't need this blink here anymore, so I can just delete it. And when I dial this one in and this one in, we see that we have both eyes closed. Very nice. But still, this way we would be able to open and close the eye, but we would have to go here all the time that we want to do that. And that's not very practical. So now what we are going to do is to create some bones that we can use to manipulate these values. And this is not that difficult. So it's going to need a little bit of math, but not too difficult. So let's go to the armature here. So select the armature. Let's go to edit mode. So tab edit mode. And then we are going to create a bone right here in the center of the eye. And for that, we can just press Shift A, for example, and we are going to have the new bone placed where the 3D cursor is. But we don't want that. We want it to be in the center of the eye. Since I know there is a vertex right here in the center, I'm going to press this button here. So this one is activating the snap. We can also use the shortcut Shift Tab to toggle it. And I'm also going to change the snap to option here to be vertex. And I'm going to choose this one here, is snap with center. Nice. Now let me change the pivot point here. So I'm going to come here and change it to individual origins because we are working with bones. So it's best to have this individual origins here. Well, at least in this case. So basically now we just need to press G to move. And then we set our mouse cursor where the vertex is, which is right there. And so we see that the bone is in the center of the eye. And now what I'm going to do is, since I want this bone here to move on the Z-axis, I need this Z-axis to be pointing up or down because I want it to move up or down. We are going to see that we are going to use the movement of the bone to control that value. So what I'm going to do here is just rotate this bone like this. So this one is going to be 90 degrees. There we go. And then I'm also going to bring it forward. So I pressed G and Y to constrain it on the Y axis. And then move it to around here. That should be good. And also going to scale it down a tad little bit like this. Nice. And so this one, I want it to move with the head. So I'm going to select it, select the head, and then we are going to Control P, keep offset. And now let's change the name of this guy here because it's going to be the controller of the blink. So let's name it accordingly. So this one is going to be blink.L because it's on the left. And let's use this to mirror to the other side. So I'm going to select, right click, symmetrize. And there we go. We have the two bones. They are in the same place but mirrored from each other. And these are going to be used to manipulate the values that we had in the shape keys. So now we are going to press tab and go to pose mode. Here in pose mode, I want to choose where I want to move my bone. So where is the maximum value where I want my bone to be so the eye is completely closed. In this case, I'm going just to press G, Z and move it down where I want. I want it to be around here, so it would be minus 0.15. There we go. So minus 0.15. We have to remember this number because we are going to use to do our math. And okay, now that we have it, we can go to here. So we are going to object mode, select the mesh, and we are going to add a driver to these properties here. And to do that, it's basically just clicking on the shape key that you want and pressing Ctrl D with your mouse over the value. So Ctrl D, and then we have this driven property panel here opening. Here, what we are going to do is connect some transformation of the bone with some value that is going to be represented by this expression here. And for that, first of all, we need to choose the object that we are going to get this transformation from. And I'm going to select it here. It's going to be the armature. And now we need to choose from which bone we are getting these transformations. So I'm going to click here, and I know this is from the blink left. So I'm going to type it here, blink, and then I'm going to choose here blink.l. And we already see something happening, but it's using the transformation a little bit wrong, because I don't want it to use the X location value. I want it to use the Z location value. And now we have the eye that is completely closed, basically because we have a value of 3.588, because this is using the world space. So it's using the value from the bottom, from here, all the way here. So going in a straight line like this, that's the value that's going to appear there, 3.588, if I'm not mistaken. But that's still not right, because I want just the amount that I moved the bone. So we actually need that to be the local space, not the world space. So I'm going to right click here and edit driver so I can get the panel back. And then I'm going to change this guy here. Instead of using world space, I'm going to use local space. Right, now the value changed to the value that we used before, which is minus 0.15, right, like that. So I'm not going to use var here, because this is basically the name of the variable. This is just a name that's going to store this value here. I'm going to use something that I will know in the future. And since I'm going to use Z location, I'm going to change the name of this var here to Z. And if I do this, let's use this, allow execution. So Blender knows that this guy here is safe. And I'm going to change this var here. So instead of using var, I'm going to use Z. Okay, if I use that, I'm simply going to get the same value that I have in here and put it in the expression. But we want our values to be between 0 and 1. And to do that, first of all, we cannot have negative values. So since we go down, so when we go down with the bone, we move a negative value, we just need to invert it. So I'm going to put a minus in here. When I put a minus in here, we see that this here becomes positive. And still, it is at the maximum that it should be able to go, but the eye is not completely closed. The only thing we need to do to make it work as expected now is just to divide. So I'm going to use the slash here. So divide by that same 0.15. And then we have the values going between 0 and 1. So let's see. When we don't have the bone moved, we have it at the position 0. If we put 0 here, 0 divided by anything, it's going to be 0. But when we have it at the maximum position, which is this 0.15 here, so 0.15, we grab it and add it here in the place of the z. 0.15 divided by 0.15, it's equal to 1. So the same number divided by itself is going to be 1. Okay, that's basically it that we have to do. And now we also need to do it for the right eye, but we are not going to do all this work again. We can simply copy this one. So I'm going to right click on it, copy driver, right click on the right one, paste driver, and then we can change just the effector, which is going to be the blink.r bone. So I'm going to right click here, edit driver, and then I'm going to choose here from the bones. I'm going to change this one. Instead of using L, I'm going to use R. And that's it. Now we can go to our armature, pose mode, and when we move the bone, we see, let's change this here to toggle it off so we can move freely, we see that when we move the bone, it closes and opens, and the same happens with the other eye. But still, it's moving all around, and this is a little bit complicated. So, to make it more concise, we should keep it moving just the amount that it should move, and also in the axis that it should move. And in this case, it's just the z-axis. So let's lock the other axis. I'm going to press N here, go to the Item tab, and then with this bone selected, I'm going to lock the X location and the Y location. And since I don't want it to rotate nor scale, I'm going to lock all these other guys here as well. And the same I'm going to do with the blink R. So I'm going to click here, lock the X, lock the Y, lock all the rotation ones and all the scale ones. Nice. So now when I try to move it anywhere other than the Z-axis, it's not going to move. But still, it goes all the way up, all the way down, and we don't know exactly where it should stop. So for that, we are going to add a limit location. So let's press Ctrl, Shift, and C. And then we are going to have this limit location right here. I'm going to click on it. And then we are going here to the bone constraints tab. Click on it. Since we know that this here is transforming in local space, just like we did in the driver panel, we are going to change this guy here as well to be local space. And I'm also going to toggle this affect transform here, just so the values that show here are going to be real. And then we are only moving on the z-axis, so I'm going to toggle the z here and the z here. The minimum value that we get is that minus 0.15 when we go down here. So let's add it to the minimum here, which is going to be minus 0.15. And the maximum value is 0, because in here the eye should be completely opened, and in here it should be completely closed. So this way, when I move it, I can see that it stops. When I go up, it stops again. So this way we have it constrained to move just the amount that it should move to open and close the eyes. And now we should just do the same thing with the blink R. But we can also do something a little bit different, which is we are going to click here on the blink I first, and then shift click on the blink L bone. And now what we're going to do is here in this limit location constraint, I'm going to click on this down arrow here and copy to selected, because they are basically doing the same thing. So this eye here shouldn't move the more than minus 0.15 and 0. So that's basically it. This is all you need to use bones to drive your values. And you can use that not only for shape keys, you can use that for all the other things in Blender. So you could use drivers to change the location, the rotation, or the scale of something else. So that's basically it for today. I hope you like it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.